Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am making a meal from my pantry staples. Now this is nothing new to me. I 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, who am I kidding, make my meals from the staples that I have in my pantry. We haven't eaten out in literally years, and before that we only ate out on special occasions. So I've made this meal out of various different proteins. So today it's going to be beef. I have some pineapple chunks, some caramelized onions, I have some celery, some peppers, some Swiss chard, and some diced tomato. I also have some rice soaking. I'm actually going to make sweet and sour. Today it's going to be beef. I have my pan here, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make that roux. So I pulled out the rest of the things from my fridge, some butter, some veggies that I had there, and a little bit of sweet and sour sauce, which I'm going to doctor up and stretch. So I have my rice back here boiling because that's going to take the longest thing. So I put that on first, and then I'm going to get my roux started. Equal parts or eyeball parts of butter and flour. So I'm going to get that browning and cooking the raw flour taste out, and move on to the rest of my dish. So I don't really brown this too much most times, but if it gets a little bit brown, that's fine. And I'm going to put all the juices from my veggies, from my celery, my onions, my, in this case, carrots, whatever liquids I have, and I have probably some in the fridge as well from other veggies from other nights. I'm going to use up all that liquid from my, here is peppers. Everything's going to go in to make this a roux and to make my sauce for this sweet and sour beef dish tonight. So now I'm going to add in my secret ingredient when I'm using tomato products. In this case, it's not really a secret because it's sweet and sour, but this is some brown sugar, and I would use brown sugar pretty much in anything that I want to cut the acidity to from the tomatoes that I'm using. So I'm putting in some vinegar. And this is white distilled vinegar. Sometimes I use apple cider vinegar, just what I put my hands on. I'm going to use a bit of ketchup, and that's going to help me stretch that little bit of sweet and sour sauce I have left. So next in goes my diced tomatoes. And I've used stewed tomatoes in these before. I have a lot of diced tomatoes canned there, so I use them. And then I'm going to put in my juice from my pineapples, and I'm going to let this reduce down before I start putting in my my peppers and my pineapples and that kind of stuff. And then the little bit of sweet and sour sauce I had left. And I do always rinse out my jars with whatever liquids I'm using. So say off my veggies or whatever, I'm going to rinse out this jar just to get the last little bits of it and not to waste any of this, because we do have a lot left in those containers when you pour them out. Now that's reduced down, I'm going to add in all my veggies, my peppers, my celery, my Swiss chard stalks, which I use as celery, and anything else that needs to go in. This is just now having to warm through it. Pretty much all of this is already cooked, and I'm just warming it through before I add in my meat. And these little spatulas that I got from Walmart probably about 5-6 years ago now are the best thing to get down there in these canning jars, because there is onion and different spices and stuff left at the bottom. In order to get that in, if I've used all my liquid, I just scrape it out. Best investment I ever made. So now that I've got all my veggies in, I'm going to add my pineapple chunks. I'm using about 1/3 of a can. I'm gonna save the rest for another dish, and then I'm using about a half, maybe a third of a can of this beef. I'm not going to use the whole can. I'm going to use the rest in another dish, or maybe another 2 dishes later on in the week. So I am stretching this, I think it's 28 ounces of beef into about 2 or at least 2 meals, maybe 3 meals. And this meal was ready in about 10 to 15 minutes of cook time because I soaked my rice, and that's the longest thing to cook because everything else is pretty much just warming through. It's already cooked. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos.